Hello, so Saturday stream, as the title says, there's going to be no real subject for this one, but obviously if people, want to talk about stuff that isn't really politics, but anything else related to stuff, that's cool. I'm just seeing on the news if there's anything that interesting today, but it's just, I guess, more stuff dragging on Corona and everything else. But yeah, so I haven't seen anything in the news today that's very interesting. Hope anybody, if they're in Texas, is all right, obviously, because I know you've had like massive, haven't you, snowstorms or like loads of ice and power cuts over there. Also, I don't think the chat is working, so I'm going to do a pop-out chat and hopefully I can read it because it's not going to be a very good stream if I can't interact with people. All right, pop-out chat is working. There we go. Right, Stug. So yeah, I've got the right, Rich. So hello to everybody. I've got the pop-out chat on now because the regular chat was broken for some reason. Just not coming in the box. So yeah, as I said, no real subject on this stream, but hello to everybody all across the world. But yeah, as I said, there's not any real news, is there, at the moment about stuff, other than I hope everybody's all right in Texas. All right, Stug, I've not really done anything today, in all honesty. Because, today's mostly been sort of, having a relax, but at the moment. All right. I'll see you on for a bit, Mike. I finished Red Dead Redemption 2 yesterday, the single player. Well, I've not finished the epilogue stuff yet, so no spoilers, but I did actually cry at the end of that. Very good game. I have no way of knowing Silent Coco. I don't know why you're asking that like a fact, because how would I know? Just to warn anybody, people spamming the chat are going to get a block, though, because there's already people just spamming words in the chat and not actually talking. Oh, I can put slow mode on, can't I? I don't know why you can't put that on as a feature when you start a stream, but I'll put slow mode on. That at least stops most of the spam. Because you can't actually answer legit questions, people, when people just spam the chat with like emojis or whatever. Live control room, that's what I want. And then I can put on slow mode if it's still in the same place as it used to be. Is it here? Live chat, enable slow mode. There we go. I'll put it to 30 seconds because 60 seconds is a bit extreme. Yeah, apparently, Mike, the epilogue I looked is about 20 hours long, the epilogue. Yeah. Yeah, there's a Polish DPS 68. Annoyingly, though, the wire for the probe on that one, because I've got the probe for it, the wire for the probe was a bit crap, where it would give you electric shocks. Well, I don't even know what your main account is, do I, Silent Coco? But I certainly haven't blocked anybody recently just because I can't respond to comments anymore, so it'd only have been if you were blocked on the thing. But, like I said, it's probably not a good idea to just keep saying, I've been shadow banned, I've been shadow banned. I definitely know in these streams there's a lot of words that just hide people's comments. I do know you are then, Coco Stewart, but yeah, you're definitely not on the block list. I'll check it later, though, just in case a mod has somehow added you on there. But how does it work? Yeah, YouTube censors Brightol saying loads of stuff, including his words like hello. It's getting really stupid now. eBay, Lord of Cheese. But yeah, I don't know why. When was the last time you were on the stream on the Coco Stewart account and I responded to you? Because that might give me an idea of how long it's happened for. But I've not got a load of Polish stuff actually handy in this room to show you because most of the gas masks and that are stored elsewhere. But that's good, Rich. But yeah, as always, eBay's a good place to get all this sort of stuff. Oh, like an uploading type strike, Brighton. I have no idea if they would affect comments or not. Can you remember how long ago that was, though, Silent Coco? But yeah, that's very strange. Yeah. what I'll do for you is later on I'll check the block list in case your name somehow appeared on there. I do know, though, now that YouTube does this really stupid thing, like it could be a good feature, but it's kind of a dodgy thing, of if you make a comment that gets held for review, and I don't approve the held for review comment in a certain amount of time, I think it like starts marking your account as spam, which is really stupid, seeing as some of the stuff that holds for review are not even, you know, like stuff that's actually rude or anything. You know, sometimes it holds people's comments for review when they've literally just talked about something in the video. Yeah, it's good about your Forge, Rich. Yeah, it's weird. I'll check the list, but like I said, if I see you on there, obviously remove you from the list, but I'd definitely not put you on there. Hopefully it does. DP5Vs, you'll need the old style batteries for them, but you can just adapt AA's for them, or you can run them off a 12 volt with that like car sort of battery attachment thing. Yeah, that's the problem on Drax. You can sometimes find stuff and sometimes can't, depending on what eBay you're on. And, you know, rules on postage, or if people are even willing to post to certain places. Oh, at some point I'll stream games again, but not when I'm doing obviously webcam stream. It's not Brightol. There's actually technical documentation you can look where people have shown all of the, like, you know, the factory spec things. And 40mm DIN isn't the same thread pitch as NATO. Yeah, Flazzy, that's the problem. That's why I prefer doing the members one, because you can actually have a proper chat, can't you? Yeah, ask away, Iron Drac, and I'll see if I can answer you. I said I've used a fair bit of night vision stuff, but I've not used many binocular style ones. I've mostly used binoculars just because it's even more expensive to get a binocular style night vision unit. Without looking it up, is that one of the suits that looks like a bin bag NBC suit, or is it one of the proper NBC suits? Because I know there is one old Czechoslovakian NBC suit that literally looks like a load of trash bags taped together. A Diak one, JJ, but that's a cool rifle, isn't it? It's a really ugly rifle, in my opinion, but it's ugly in a good way. Yeah, that's a good thing, Flazzy, but yeah, the problem is the less public streams I do, that goes up slower, but as you say, judging by the comments, even with... yeah, it has that. Yeah, I've got the bayonets for that rifle, but I've not got the actual rifle. But yeah, it always makes me think of On Her Majesty's Secret Service. You know, that rifle, because it's the one that all the henchmen in that have. Right, Iron Drac. I'd say in general, other than a couple of good companies, right? So basically, with night vision, you've got two things going on, right? You've got military surplus night vision, and you also get civilian companies that make night vision. But when I say make, it's more like they buy old military tubes and they install them into like nicer units. All right, Shed on Fire. Isn't it technically STG-W57, the name of that one? But yeah, it's the SIG 510, isn't it? That rifle. I'm pretty sure the SIG 510 was its original name, or is the SIG 510 the export version? I can't remember. I think my MP4B bag, Brighto, is the same as my regular MP4 bag. Actually, I've not got up there, so I don't know what I'm looking at there. But yeah, so if you're Iron Drac, the best thing I could recommend you is probably to get any Gen 2 Plus unit if you want something. The problem is also getting it for a good price. There should be a button, Alfie, somewhere on the screen that says like join up or become a member. Because obviously I can't do it for myself. I don't know. But I know it's normally a button that's down there when you watch most videos for channels that have membership. Not really, Glenn. Just make sure you hang it up in a way that the tube will, like the hose, will drip out. Thank you, Pirate. I think it's for export as well, isn't there? A definition like thing of that. Because didn't they export them in 7.62 NATO as opposed to 7.75 Swiss or whatever it was, because it uses the same cartridge as the late Rubens, doesn't it, like the K31? Right. I'm trying to think how good you'd need one iron track. That's the thing, because it's hard to say, because if you don't mind using an infrared illuminator, you can go with a pretty cheap night vision set. Because obviously owls aren't going to care if you've got an IR illuminator on or not. How much is it, JJ? I've probably seen one on D&B Military, and I thought probably looked at it for that's cool and didn't think any more of it. But if you get an IR torch like this one, you can use this to see normally a few hundred meters, even with like a Gen 1 Plus night vision unit. Okay, I think D&B Militaria had one in JJ at one point. I don't know if I've got the original MP4B bag then, right? Because I thought mine was the same as my regular MP4 bag. Oh, that is a good point that Flazzy's saying, yeah, thermals would be better for spotting things in branches. What do you mean by net videos, Lord of Cheese? Yeah, it's quite expensive, isn't it? Because you used to be able to get the actual working Schmidt-Rubens for less than that. If you're wondering, my next video will be Sunday, so tomorrow. You can see what the video is when it goes live. I like Tractor. Is that literally one of the sort of... Is that the Danish version of the German M38, or is that something else? Yeah. I'm going to be putting a review up soon when I get it of a relatively cheap, as far as thermal units go, thermal that will plug into my phone. So if you wait for that to turn up for me, I can tell you if I recommend it or not. I think I'm going to really like it because it's better specs than my FLIR Scalp. It's a lot cheaper, you know, for comparison of the specs. All right, Mike. That's cool, right? Oh, yeah. Oh, I've seen the pictures of the old prototype ones, Benny, if that's what you're on about. But yeah, the thing is, like I said, a lot of this stuff I'm selling now, you know, so I really don't want to be getting more stuff. But yeah, let me have a look on D&B Militaria for the Sturmgewehrs, because I think they did have some on there at one point. Let's have a look. So it'll be deactivated guns, submachine guns and assault rifles, post-World War II. Let's see, is there any on here? They've got a G3 on there for 600 quid, which is pretty cool. But I remember when you used to be able to get G3s for like 300 quid, and I kick myself all the time for not buying one when you could have got them for that price. There's an M56 submachine gun for 295 quid. That looks alright in terms of, you know, like what it actually looks like for the money. That's the Yugoslav one, isn't it? It looks a bit like an MP40, that one. That's pretty cool. Sometimes some of these are actually quite well priced on here, but I'm just seeing at the moment if I can spot if they've still got any Sturmgewehrs in. They've actually got M16s at a decent price once, like under £1,000, where I've never normally seen them that cheap before. I know it's not cheap, but in terms of like some of the prices for deactivated guns, they've got a PPS 43 for under £300, which is pretty cool because that was like one of the best SMGs of World War II. No, sadly, I don't think they've got any of the Sturmgewehrs on there anymore. What they have got that's quite cool is they've got one of those Star SMGs that looks quite a bit like the Sterling, but it's got a vertical mag on it rather than the like horizontal mag. That's under 300 quid. That's pretty cool. Pretty sci-fi looking. Well, it's very stormtroopery looking, really. But Yeah, it's like one of those old Spanish submachine guns that kind of just looks like it's ripped off several different guns. But anyway, I'll go back to the stream and the chat. I have to do the pop-out chat again because that's not working. A PMK4 is actually quite good. So yeah, if you got a PMK4, I don't think it would disappoint you. They might have been JJ, but the problem is, like I say, it seems like they're all sold now because it was at a price where I thought if I wasn't saving for the bunker, I might have bought it. I think it was probably about £500. It was probably £400 to £500. I can't remember exactly, but I know it was in a price range where I actually considered it. You know, as opposed to where you look at some and think that's way too expensive. What country are you in, Alfie? Because I know in some countries you can't sign up for membership, annoyingly. But I know the join button shows up for a lot of people because they've obviously joined up. Stug says the PMKS is better. You can definitely do it in the UK. Do you have your account linked to a Google Pay? That's the only thing I can guess now. But there's no reason that if you're in the UK you won't see the button because it literally just shows up for... Flazzy, thank you. He says it's next to where the subscribe button is. If you've got an ad blocker on, I don't know if that's hiding it. That's my only thought. But yeah, I know it's always below the sort of video bit, isn't it? It's somewhere on there. Well, what do you mean? What time is it now? In the UK, it's just coming up to about 8:15. In 8 p.m. I'm trying to think now, Brighton, what would be my best fitting one? Because a lot of it will come down to actually fit how well it fits to the face. I'm kind of tempted to say, what's it? The CM4, you know, the Czech one. But it's not a brilliant fit to my face, my CM4. You can generally get quite a lot of French surplus on eBay. I imagine if you go to, is it ebay.fr? I imagine there's a lot of French surplus on there. I know France does this annoying thing now, though, where they actually dispose of a lot of their surplus, you know, like a few nations like to do, as in destroy it, as opposed to just selling it and making some money back from it. That's cool, Frederick. It depends if you're going to get much use from it, because if you don't have loads of masks and you simply wanted a mask for like your own protection, that's not too much money at all for a good mask. But it really depends like what your income is. Can you justify it? But yeah, I'm sort of tempted to say the CM4 Brightel for the sort of my favourite Ghost mask if I actually had to use one. I'm sure there's ones that are like newer and better than that, but in terms of it being just a good all-round mask, if you had it on for a while, that would at least, you know, be all right. Yeah, that's the thing, Brightel. If it fits you well, it's a good mask. Saying that, the CM5 I'd probably use over the CM4. Or the CM4, whatever it's called, the one that has the thing where you can fit glasses to it. Sadly, Hyra, most masks won't. There are some escape hoods type things that tighten around your neck. You could wear glasses in those easily enough. But for the most part, you need to get optical inserts for masks so you know it doesn't break the seal. Yeah, a lot of stuff, if there's demand for it, obviously, when it gets listed, they generally sell quickly, KV1. Let me look up which model of filter that is, because I can't remember off the top of my head which... As long as you get any of the ones that are P3, it's fine for viruses. You know, because P3 is the bit, or P100, whatever you want to call it, is the good particle bit for stopping sort of bacteria and viruses. I mean, technically, as we've been over quite a lot in the past, the filter isn't small enough to stop like the nano whatever they call them of a virus, but because the virus particles have to travel on spittle or whatever, it does stop them. I haven't actually bought any new Avon filters in ages. Whether or not you can buy Avon filters as a civilian, I don't know. As in, like not second-hand ones on eBay. Because generally Avon do sort of big company orders. They don't sell to individuals. Was it 83 Jogvan? I can't actually remember. It was early 80s, wasn't it? Operation Nimrod. They had the Iranian embassy siege. If Mike's on, he'd know the date off the top of his head, I imagine. I'm tempted to say like 1983 or something, but I can't actually remember now off the top of my head. Yeah, that's the thing. I've never bothered myself, Hyra, just because of the fact that if I have a mask on, I'm not normally doing anything where I need to read small print with like glasses on. So I'm short-sighted, but I'm sort of short-sighted in the degree that if I did that with my glasses up, I can just about read the quite small chat text on the thing, but it's just a bit blurry. So there isn't really much where, in a life or death situation, if I had a mask on. Oh, it was 1980s, early back as that stuck. Yeah, a lot happened in the 80s, didn't it? Falklands War, Chernobyl, Able Archer. But yeah, as Stug said, if Stug says it's 1980, I'll trust him without looking it up. They definitely had S6s on when they did it. Like the blue boiler suits and the S6s and the giant mag light like things taped to the MP5s. Were they actually mag lights they had, or was it another brand of like torch? But yeah, if you have a look, they had the really old giant like flashlights strapped to the MP5s, which is pretty cool. I've already got an ARFA and I don't want another one, but yeah, I definitely prefer the MP5 to the ARFA. Was that one is it called the SM90, Ira? Is that the one? I know that's the one that's on the cover, isn't it, of Stalker Call of Pripyat? And it kind of looks a bit like an M65 or an M15. But yeah, most modern masks have a drinking tube system in, but did the Swiss one have quite a good drinking tube system? Because some masks have awful drinking systems. I'll give you the same answer I always give you. It's a cool looking mask, but I personally don't like it very much because of how easily it fogs up. I know you can put anti-fog paste in it. Oh, thank you very much, Dwayne. That's awesome. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Have you got any interesting questions you want to ask? And I can try my best to answer you. But right, the oldest gas mask I have, Hayden, is probably it's going to be one of my World War II ones, or like essentially, made in the build up to World War II, like ones of the civilian ones. But I don't actually. Oh, they were mag lights, so they were Motos. Yeah, that's one I've never seen exported, Hyra, or like not for a good price. I think it's literally because it is one of those masks where like you said, if you have to turn them in after service, they're probably ones where they deal with them quite professionally, as opposed to like a lot of countries just selling them on the surplus market. But again, thank you, Dwayne. I really do appreciate that. If what year is the Cold War one set in? I know it's obviously the Cold War. Or does it go through different bits of the Cold War? Because technically they shouldn't have S10s till like the mid 1980s. That's right, Dwayne. I'm glad it was useful because, like I said, it was pretty horrible, wasn't it? The first, I mean, it's still a horrible thing now because of how how long it's just dragging on. But yeah, I mean, I was quite lucky as well in terms of like YouTube stuff that I guess the algorithm decided to actually share my stuff at that point. Because there's been a lot of other times where I've tried to advise people when there's been like a chemical spill type thing on what filters they should be wearing, for stuff like that, and then the videos never go out. And a lot of the time, it's because I did get quite a lot of nice messages with a lot of the COVID stuff of people saying, they were able to buy masks before they all sold out or for silly money. So it's called Call of Duty Cold War, but it's modern day. That doesn't make sense. Right. If I could have any rifle another day in hell, probably a good variant of AK-74. But I've actually got a rifle over there that I can legally have in this room, but I can't show it you, unfortunately. It's not because I don't own it, it's because of YouTube's stupid rules on guns in live streams now. And I got that out by accident when we were doing the stream with Mike the other day, because apparently you can show stuff like live grenades on a live stream if they're legal in your country, but you can't show any kind of firearm on a live stream. So, yeah, I've got a Schmidt Rubin over there, the 1889 one, because funnily enough, in Britain, the Schmidt Rubins fall into the sort of interesting category of being called obsolete firearms. I mean, Fowl's awesome. I'd definitely like an L1A1 if there was an apocalypse type thing, but it's a bit bulky. You know, it depends what you're going up against, aren't you? Is it a zombie type thing? Because if it's zombies, you don't really need any specifically big rifle caliber if you're just shooting them in the head. The newest gas mask I have is still probably this one, the one that Hype sent me, which is very kind of him. The Chinese one, the MF11D, I think, but it's actually a pretty good modern Chinese mask. The blanking plug I built myself for this, that's why this bit doesn't look very professional, because it's a dual filter mask, and because I don't have any GOST blanking plugs, I got from my GOST repair kit, I got one of the bits that goes on the end of the hose, and then what I did with this was put some rubber discs in it and then filled it with silicone adhesive at both sides, so it makes an airtight, like screw-in blanking cap. So again, like I was saying, it doesn't look very professional, but it does mean that you can have this mask be airtight, because this is GOST. Oh, wait, no, I thought of a thing for you now. Right, Brighto. This would be my choice of a GOST mask to actually use in a gas attack, this one, because it's one of my most modern masks, but it is actually 40mm GOST. Okay, they were black, were they? Because they're definitely like that black sort of dark blue, navy blue colour, aren't they, Rob? Where you can't really tell if they're black or dark blue, but yeah. Yeah, I know you can buy swords in England because, funnily enough, I don't know if they're in frame, are they? That's my nicest sword. Oh, in terms of its, like one I actually had done for me. All right, Mike, see ya. No, sadly, I'd love to go to America, but I haven't been, and obviously at the moment, Corona, there's no point booking to go anywhere, is there? But yeah, no, America's definitely one of the places I'd like to go to, but I've never got round to going to. But yeah, so yes, Joshua, you can definitely get swords in the UK. No, because Stuart, I've still not found my bloody hair clippers. I really don't know where they've gone. Like I said, if it drags on long enough, I will buy another pair of hair clippers, but I've got some inert grenades, Dan. I've got 2 F1s over there, and I've got 2 Hungarian stick grenades over there. And again, the weird thing is I can show you an inert grenade on a live stream, but I can't show you a deactivated gun because of YouTube's weird rules. But yeah, as I said, I've got a Schmidt Rubin over there because of the fact that the weird thing that in the UK, a lot of pre-1900 rifles, especially if they're strange calibers, are considered obsolete guns, so you don't need a license for them. I mean, whether or not that will change eventually because of, idiots using them in crimes or whatever. But favorite gas mask currently, or out of all the ones I've got, or as in like all the masks that exist? Yeah. Were they used in World War II as well? The Mills bomb, Stug, and the other people who know about them, because they were like the World War One grenade, weren't they? They look like just a really chunky F1. Yeah, I think Mike's talked about Brocox before, JJ, but I've never seen them before. But yeah, I went to Hungary a few years ago. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, they were used in the early parts of World War II. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's that sort of shit then, JJ. Yeah, that idiots ruining it for everybody. Oh yeah, exactly. Inductive TK. I think I said that to people a while ago. That it's not a bad time to buy a radioactive detecting thing because most people aren't worried about radiation at the moment. Yeah, I assumed you meant Brococks, not grenades. What do you mean by American nuclear policy book? Do you mean what American books on what their nuclear stuff was during the Cold War? Yeah, Hungary was nice. Like I said, most countries I've been to, I think, are nice, but that's when you go to somewhere on holiday. You're mostly just visiting the more sort of touristy friendly places, aren't you? Rather than it being one of those sort of things of because it's like when people come to the UK, I think lots of people really like it, but then again, they're seeing things that give them a very polished impression of it. I got the PK56 for free, Brighthog, because B-Store sent it me to see if I could actually get it to change colour, and I've succeeded now, which is good. Yeah, I did know that, Benny, because there's lots of science channels that talk about that stuff. We talk about that quite a few times on here. I definitely wanted to visit Pripyat, Dan, but that was something I was actually going to do last year before Corona, ruined everything. For nuclear fallout, Hyra, you just need the P3 bit, so an ABEC P3 would be fine. Because bear in mind, it can't protect you from the actual energy coming off of ionizing radiation, but it prevents you from inhaling the fallout dust. Yeah, I'm not on about Formula One, I'm on about F1 grenades. Yorkshire Tom, Southern Swords is quite a good place now to get swords because Blades and Bows used to have quite a good lot of stuff in, but then sadly, obviously, they went out of business when the government fucked around in the knife laws. Yeah, I've actually downloaded the latest version, but not played any of it yet of Anomaly because Stug keeps going on about it. Well, when were gas masks made? That's a bit of a big question. I mean, they were pretty much what we think of as modern gas masks were pretty much came around World War One sort of time. Where countries were using chemical weapons against each other, so they had to come up with defenses against it. You can actually probably trace them back a bit further than World War One. But in terms of when the gas masks come about first, World War One, and then all the way up to the modern day, they're still used because countries still need to have a protection against either industrial or military use of poison gas. Yeah, I'll definitely do. I'll do a members stalker stream at some point, Flazzy, so we can all have a proper chat while I'm doing it. Yeah, GVS Lips is a good mask, isn't it, Brighton? Yeah, I'll when I get Anomaly running and refamiliarize whatever it is, familiarize myself with it. I will definitely stream some of that as a members stream, Flazzy. But yeah, the Stalker games are very good for just wasting time on. Oh, okay, that it wasn't coming up under the rifles category for some reason, JJ. But yeah, so 650 is quite a lot, isn't it? Out of interest, then, what do they use for fit testing particle filters? Because I know obviously you use both banana oil and the bitter oil type equivalent for doing a vapor test. I can't remember if I've ever streamed Phasmophobia. I've definitely played a fair bit of Phasmophobia, but you see the clock there. Yeah, or it might be they've not formatted it properly, JJ, because I might have seen it when it was on the front page as a newly listed thing. as opposed to being, you know, one of those things where I actually look for the categories to find it. Which particular model, Brighthole? Because obviously there's a lot of civilian respirators. Well, here's the thing another day in how. See if it's been declassified. If it's still a classified military document, good luck getting hold of it. But if it's a hood test, then surely that's a vapor test, isn't it? Not a particle one. All right, Radiac Maniac. Yeah, I mean, a light anti-gas respirator you probably wouldn't want to really rely on, but they're a nice bit of history. What do you mean? How was there a website for it? You're confusing me another day in hell. So I'm sure you can find the gist of, if you Google it or whatever, I'm sure you can find the gist of the US nuclear policy in terms of nuclear war online, but not all of it is going to be declassified because of the fact it's, you know, like defense of the round type stuff, isn't it? Of course I know about the Chernobyl disaster. You already asked me was £180 too much for PMK, and I already gave you my answer. My comment or answer to you was literally, are you going to use it and like use it a lot? Because if you are, then it's not a bad price for a mask you're going to use often, you know, for your own protection. But you know, if not, yeah, I agree, Flazzy. The amount of ones that are just the same things being spammed over and over. But yeah, the thing is, like I say, with a lot of stuff, I'd say the more you use it, the better higher price seems to be. You know, it's like if you bought a watch that you used every day, I'd be willing to pay more for it, you know, than a watch that, you know, I never wore. I am not married, and I don't intend to get married. But I know people who have got married and end up being miserable because of the fact that, yeah, their wives or whatever do not like their hobbies and but no, I'm not married. Okay, I didn't know that, Brighton, but yeah, I've only got the I've only got the one that you've seen the video on anyway. So in existence, yeah, because before you didn't specify if it was one I owned or existence. I've heard the FM53 is really good, but I've never actually used it. And then Apex pretty much asks the exact same question there. So the Avon FM53 is meant to be very, very good, but I've never used it. I've already done a video on the safe, Harry. I won't show any more than that, but like I said, if you want to use ammo boxes for shielding, all you have to do, get an ammo box that makes an airtight seal. That's pretty important if there's anything in it that makes radon come out. Then just you can buy lead flashing online. Buy lead flashing, fold it over a few times so you get a thicker block of lead, and then put whatever radioactive item you have in the ammo box, you know, behind the lead flashing. That way, you know, you're pretty much not going to get anything coming out of it. Obviously, if you had, like, you're as a civilian, you're never going to meant to have, you know, you're never meant to have or shouldn't be able to get hold of a really scary radioactive source, right? So basically, that will be fine for anything you can essentially legally buy. You know, if you had like a radiotherapy source, you shouldn't have it in the first place anyway. Yeah, so open it outside, as inductive tea cake says. Because yeah, otherwise you open it up and there's a big lot of radon in there. I've got a Commanderski and 2 amphibious, Yorkshire Tom, but I think both my amphibious are not CCCP models. They're like the Russian ones made in the same factory after the collapse of the Soviet Union. It's going to depend on the scale of the EMP. Bear in mind, EMPs, from what I know, Rob, are not anything like in the movies. I mean, there's pretty much nothing you can do if there was a really, really scary, big EMP. But for the most part, I know supposedly for a lot of stuff, it's just literally don't have stuff plugged in. I'm getting rid of the person that keeps literally spamming that he's too lazy to Google something. Yeah, I've seen some videos of like prepper people doing Faraday type boxes and containers. But yeah, I don't actually know. Yeah, so take the battery out, store it in, some sort of Faraday cage type thing. But in all honesty, can you be able to do that? Well, modern Russia specifically for the fact that, people aren't gulagged anymore. Well, I mean, maybe they are, but, But, with the Soviet Union, towards the end, under somebody like Gorbachev, it probably wasn't too bad. But, somebody like Stalin, he was an absolute dickhead. Yeah, riot shields are really good, Flazzy, for actually blocking stuff like that. Do I own an M1 Garand? I'm assuming you mean a Garand. No, I don't. I've got an M1 Carbine, but annoyingly, I can't take it down and show it you. It's a Deac one, obviously, because I'm in the UK. But I can't get the M1 Carbine down to show you because of YouTube's policies on guns. Are you on about David Ham? But yeah, David Ham didn't really build a reactor. He just built something that was creating neutrons. But if you mean David Ham, basically he just put loads and loads and loads of radioactive material together, created neutrons from it, and was slowly contaminating the entire area around him. I think there's a riot helmet actually visible in the background. Or maybe it's slightly too low for you to see. There's a riot helmet there. Yeah, you can see it. Literally because it's in the YouTube policy, you can show them on video, which I've done. You can't show them on a live stream, or you can literally get a strike on your channel because reasons. Oh yeah, that's the thing. Inductive tea cake is a lot of stuff like that is actually like saying. Actually, I don't think the PDRM-82 would be EMP proof because of the fact that you can set it off with a plasma ball. But again, like my opinion on it, Yorkshire Tom, is basically they wanted to do something. I'll finish the stream in a minute, but my opinion is basically what they've probably done is said if we make it so you're not allowed to show guns on a live stream, therefore nobody will ever live stream a mass shooting. I think it's that kind of weirdo logic that doesn't work. It's like I'm sure somebody would be less concerned about getting a strike on their channel than shot by the police, if they were going on like a murder spree. Oh, another 20 minutes, Flazzy. Some do, some don't, Harry. Most modern ones don't because they generally just use basically an electrical circuit check type function. The problem is, Hyra, I'd have to know which sites are actually good. All right, Flazzy, I'll go until 9 then, just for you, because you're a member, so I actually listen to members. But yeah, the most modern detectors I've seen. Bear in mind, a lot of places like the EU don't like them being shipped with check sources. They basically demand you can't have a check source in to ship it. That's my exact point, Dan. But yeah, the point essentially is that you know, about like other sites alternative to YouTube. Other than BitChute, I don't even know of any that have done, you know, pretty well. Because the problem was I did have an account on one of the other ones at one point, and that was one that lasted a while, and then like all of them, they just essentially run out of advertising, and then they go, you know, they just have to close the sites down. Because, you know, the problem is literally with YouTube is they have a monopoly. Boxes on the shelf. What shelf are you looking at and what boxes? If you're looking at that shelf, there's an old Warhammer set there. That's the only really box that's in frame. But mostly, there's some filters there. They're not boxes. Those are Geiger counters. But here's the thing, Inductive TK. You're allowed to show all this stuff and you can still monetize it if you're doing regular videos on it. That's why it makes no sense. It's the fact that I literally can't show something on the live stream that I can show and monetize in a regular video. If you mean Tiger tanks, no, because World War II tanks would not stand a chance against modern tanks. A Tiger wouldn't be able to penetrate an Abrams, probably not even from behind. Because that's funny, but yeah, because just the fact that you know like how much better tank armor is than that since World War, you know, II. Do you mean which M75? Is that the Romanian one, Goblin Gamer? If so, I don't have that one. I've got the M84, which is that one with the drinking tube, and that's quite good. That isn't my bed. My bed's not in this room, so you know my bed's actually tidy. I know somebody who does reenacting, but I've never actually done reenacting. But there are reenactment groups. Most of them just do English Civil War, weirdly. It could be something like that, Inductive Tea Cake, that yeah, because they can't essentially check a live stream out while it's live. Tiger tanks had really, really shit engines. What are you on about? The Tiger's engine was first designed for the Panther, wasn't it? Was the Panther, wasn't it? I'm trying to think. Let me check. The Panther was the Panzer V, wasn't it? Yeah, so the Tiger's engine was originally designed for the Panther, right? And then Hitler's like, put a bigger gun on it, put some more armor on it. So the engine was already overloaded in the Panther, and then they put that same engine in the Tiger 1 and the Tiger 2. Like, yeah, for the Panther, the engine was quite good until it had a bit too much weight put on it. But in the Tiger, the engine was awful. That's why they broke down so often. They were really cool tanks, Tigers, in terms of like the armor and the gun on them. But the engine was just not reliable enough. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think a lot of people realize, do they, just like how primitive World War II tanks are compared to modern like military armor. I imagine like a modern infantry fighting vehicle could take out most World War II vehicles. Yeah, and as you say, Dan, not a very good policy, is it, using slave labor to build your military equipment? Yeah, that's a decimeter reader for the old British Army decivitors. Oh yeah, Cobra. I've got that right at the back with the mount on it for Chinese night vision. The ionizing radiation would probably kill them, regardless of what the fireball and that would do. There is, if you look up the nuke tank Wizard Lords, that's quite interesting. Australia subjected a Centurion tank to nuke testing and it survived. I'm not sure, Richard, actually. If they'd have me, that'd be the sort of thing I probably actually enjoy doing, but I don't think something like the Royal Observer Corps is ever coming back, because the Chinese make some quite good modern gas masks. Bear in mind, the stuff they make for like their army is a lot better than a lot of the stuff they sell to random people like us. C4 kit, what do you mean, like a Canadian C4 with the bag and everything? If so, that's a very good price for it, Radiac Maniac. I've got an S6 gas mask, if that's what you're saying. I've still got it. There's the riot helmet down there, which we've already discussed. There's riot shields here. Just in case somebody doesn't believe me, I can actually pick this one up pretty easily to show on the stream because of the size of it. But, yeah. it's quite amazing how strong some of these actual shields are in terms of, you know, how much abuse they can take. Making a weird noise though. Oh, I see. It's because the felt's peeling off the back. No, you could probably sell it for like $300 or so, Radiac Maniac, I imagine. Yeah, that's a good point, Flazzy. Yeah, the only way I could see you surviving in a tank in a nuclear blast is if you're far enough away that you wouldn't get the flash burns from it. You know, where yeah, you'd be far enough away that you'd get like the hurricane force winds. You know, and maybe then the tank would be all right, assuming it doesn't keep rolling over and over and over and over. And thank you very much, first name, last name. I really appreciate it. I've had a lot of donations this stream. It's been fantastic. What do you mean by blocking arrow? A riot shield might stop an arrow. It probably depends on the type of head on the arrow and the velocity of it. So if you had like an English longbow type bow shooting like a bodkin type head, I don't think a riot shield would have a hell of a chance of stopping that. But if you had like low draw weight crossbows or low draw weight sports bows, I think a riot shield would stop those fines. Fine. But yeah, what I was saying is if you had a hurricane force wind hit a tank, assuming it's far enough away, I think you'd definitely survive it then. But you certainly, wouldn't survive, Flazzy, like you're saying, if you're so close that it's just going to cook the people inside. I know most tanks give a protection factor of about 10 to 1 to radiation. So if it's 100 Rontgen outside, you know, it's about 10 Rontgen inside the tank. And lots of modern tanks have very good NBC over pressure systems. So they're quite good for actually traversing like radioactive or chemical, you know, wastelands. But in terms of actually, if a nuke goes off too close to you, I think, you'd just probably get cooked, wouldn't you? Don't they use the FM12? I'm pretty sure the Dutch use the FM12 at the moment. I know they bought loads from Britain. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. So for the people who don't know, with radiation, you get alpha radiation, beta radiation, X-rays, and gamma rays. You also get neutrons, but we won't go into neutrons. Anyway, so the problem is, an NBC suit is not going to block X-rays or gamma rays. They are still going to go through you. Alpha radiation will definitely be stopped by an NBC suit, and a thick rubber NBC suit will block a lot of beta, but not all of it. So it would lower your dose you'd get from beta radiation, but yeah. The NBC gear is specifically designed so you can decontaminate yourself easily. It's not designed to actually, you know, prevent ionizing radiation from traveling through it. I think, again, Wizard Lords, it would depend how close it is to the actual blast. Because if it's too close to the blast, the metal is just going to melt because of the fact that, you know, a nuke is like the heat of the sun. You know, a nuclear explosion turns, you know, sand into glass and stuff like that. You know, there's no way you could survive too close. Yeah, and it depends on the yield, doesn't it? Exactly, Flazzy. Because, if you had something like a Davy Crockett, maybe a tank could survive close to a direct hit with a Davy Crockett. You know, like one of those like little handheld, well, they're not little, but, you know, like the kind of recoilless rifle-sized nuke launcher thing, you know, which has like less than 1 kiloton yield. But yeah, a hydrogen bomb, you haven't got a chance because of the fact that, you know, it's going to have, what, like 10 megatons at the least, you know, 10 million ton of TNT equivalent. It wouldn't stop severe gamma rays, though. That's the point, because, Severus Snape, this is the problem, right? So, the dentists and that, they used to use lead shielding. Lead shielding is brilliant for cutting down on weak X-rays and weak gamma rays and, you know, stuff like that. It will not stop very high energy gamma rays. That's why, like, you know, fallout shelters and things like that, that's why they were designed to be so far underground, because it's actually the distance that's giving you the most protection. Radiation uses something called the inverse square law, right? So let's say you have a gram of something horribly radioactive giving out gamma rays. Every time you double the distance, you quarter the dose. So basically, let's say you've got something that's 1,000 Rontgen. It's giving off on like the actual gram of it, yeah? So let's say you've got a gram of radium and it's giving off like 1,000 Rontgen per hour worth of gamma rays. If you go, let's say, 1 centimeter from it, it might be, so double the distance, let's say 1 centimeter, let's now say it's 250 Rontgen. You go to 2 centimeters, it would then be, a quarter of that 250. You then go to, 4 quarter again, go to 8 centimeters quarter again, go to 16 quarter again. But yeah, that's the thing that with high energy ionizing radiation, it literally won't stop until it runs out of energy to keep accelerating, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's amazing, Richard, isn't it? It's just because they're so powerful in terms of, like, it's literally like a little sun going off. That's essentially what a nuclear explosion is. I think it's going to depend again how close it is, Rob, because it's not just the heat from a nuke, it's like the massive pressure wave and that. And if you're close to ground zero of a nuke, watch some of the old nuke test videos. It's really interesting. Trinity and Beyond is a very, very interesting film to watch due to that. But if you literally see, like, if you go on Google Earth, right, this is the best way of, yeah, exactly, inductive decay. That's the danger of fallout itself, isn't it? The fact you inhale it or eat it. Well, I'm just meaning in terms of, like, actual gamma protection, in terms of the guy saying, like, could you have a lead suit or whatever? In general, if we're using the old Rontgen numbers, or I don't know if you want to use rads, it's generally, isn't it meant to be 50 to 100 Rontgen is the range most people start experiencing radiation sickness, and like their blood tests would actually reveal that they have radiation sickness. 500 plus Rontgen is pretty much the guaranteed death territory. The higher the dose you get, the more likely it is you die. I don't know, Alex. I know cigarettes are meant to be slightly radioactive, but I'll have to watch that at some point, Rob. But yeah, what was I going to say with Yeah, that's the easy way of thinking about it, isn't it, F. Drake? Think of ionizing radiation, because it is essentially light, isn't it? Gamma rays. It's just very, very high energy light. So yeah. So if you turn on a flashlight, let's say a torch, and you see how the light, basically, it's the same reason that, you can't see forever with a handheld flashlight, right? Because it's brightest at the source and it spreads out and gets weaker as the beam goes further. So think of ionizing radiation like that. It's a very good way of explaining it. It's like a light bulb, right? The corners of the room are going to be darker than the bit right next to the light bulb. But yeah, that's the thing is, like I said, there's structure, like I said, with lots of like nuclear bunkers, they were designed not to be directly hit by a nuke. That's like that idea, isn't it? That they're designed to give you very good fallout protection. And, potentially if a nuke goes off relatively close, they might survive like the earthquake it causes if it's a ground burst or, everything like that. But yeah, in theory, even like say you had an ROC post, if an ROC post was a nuke ground burst on it, you'd be dead. There's no way even like an actual bunker's going to protect you in that case. Yeah. But yeah, speaking about Trinity and Beyond, one of what I was saying before I got distracted is that's just a film, but it's like talking about real nuclear explosions. If you go on Google Earth, I'll get the coordinates up for you now. If you go on Google Earth, you can actually see the crater left by one of the nukes still today. So we want to go to Bikini Atoll in the Pacific Islands. Right. So let's get Bikini Atoll up and on the maps. And then I'm going to try and get it in satellite mode. And then, right, hopefully, right, here's the coordinates. Right, I've copied the coordinates. So put these into Google Earth. Let's just check it works. Yeah, Castle Bravo. So yeah, if you go there, that's the coordinates of the Bravo crater. You can literally see where the island has changed shape from Bravo crater, because it's like a 1.4 miles across, isn't it, Bravo crater? But yeah, that's what a 15, ton megaton nuke does. The Earth's just not there anymore. It's gone because of the force of the bomb. Because Bravo is essentially a ground burst as well, because it was just like a bomb essentially on a little stand, wasn't it? Yeah, SpongeBob is actually a reference to a lot of the Bikini Atoll tests. No, even if we assume ghouls are real, right, Alan, that you could survive radiation if you turned into a ghoul, the actual yield of a bomb, Because yeah, if the bomb in megaton is meant to be 1 megaton yield, if you were a few meters away from a megaton bomb in like a little shanty town, flimsy house sort of shop thing, you're going to be incinerated. Yeah, I know she does in the game, Flazzy, but I think he means in reality, if you were a ghoul, could you survive it? And the answer is no, because there wouldn't be anything left to ghoulify. You'd be literally evaporated. I like the HBO Chernobyl series. Yeah, I know a lot of people complain about it, and there's bits that aren't technically correct with it. But yeah, I like the Chernobyl series. But I did get quite annoyed actually the other day because I was watching like one of the proper sciencey channels, and they said something about like the Chernobyl series that was completely inaccurate. I can't remember what it was. I think they were saying like, "Oh, radiation isn't dangerous as long as you don't get too much of it. That's why the Chernobyl series was stupid," or something. It's like, yeah, but I thought for a science channel they would have known how bad the radiation was during literally a reactor core exploding. Oh, what's that? Confessor Cromwell, whatever he's called, Fluzzy. Holy atom. Too many Goblin Gamer, but I've been getting rid of quite a lot recently. No, Brighto, I did not see your message about the SR1. What did you say? I saw you on about SpongeBob. Oh, yeah, sorry, hushing up. Fun fact, SR1 is the wrong name. It's an official manual called SRH250. Also, SR1 isn't a kit. Is an RSH4 or something. That's very interesting. But, yeah. Yeah. Duck and cover. Duck and cover. Yeah. I think it's a lot of people, Flazzy, don't kind of understand, do they, how horrifying a lot of CBRN weaponry is. The fact that you can literally wipe out islands or essentially all life on Earth with some of these things. There's a similar thing to that island where they killed all the sheep near Scotland with the anthrax. There's one in America where they killed thousands of sheep with some nerve gas that went off a test site. Because they were spraying nerve... I don't know if it was VX or one of the weaker ones, but they were spraying it on essentially like a firing range. And when the plane pulled up, it was still spraying a bit of the nerve gas out. So it went into the clouds, essentially came down as rain and killed like several thousand sheep. And that was just a bit of it going off target. That's kind of like how scary like nerve agents are. Well, VX will kill you, Brighthole, from skin contact if you're not being sarcastic. Because, yeah, if you inhale VX, it will kill you much faster. But, yeah, nerve gas is literally something that kills you through skin contact, which is why it's a weapon of mass destruction. Yeah, that's pretty horrifying, Flazzy, isn't it? Was that related to any of the tests, or was it simply a case of he got anthrax who, like, essentially, like, contaminated meat? Yeah, real VX isn't like in the rock, Joshua. Real VX is basically it's actually something, it's a nerve agent, so it's an invisible, essentially odorless gas that when it comes into contact with you, it starts causing muscle spasms, diarrhea, nausea, stuff like that, until you start basically having essentially it's like having like, it's like motor control, isn't it, that goes where the nerves are forced all into the on position. So basically, yeah, you'd sort of basically be almost convulsing on the floor until you eventually die. I mean, whether or not in reality, I don't know through nerve agents, if you convulse so hard you can break your bones. I don't know if it does that in reality. Like, is it arsenic or cyanide meant to do that? But yeah, nerve agents are literally, you're essentially flopping around like a fish out of water until you die. Isn't it technically called sulfur mustard, Harry? Isn't that its name, sulfur mustard? Lewisite's even nastier than mustard, and that's there's a phosgene poster down there. My Lewisite one you can't see because it's behind those boxes. Wouldn't though a nuclear explosion just completely vaporize the gas and destroy it through the intense heat, LXA? Like, they could certainly do things like salted cobalt bombs, where you essentially use a nuke to deliver a huge amount of radioactive fallout. Well, Fat Man was still like a 20 kiloton yield, so if it directly air bursted or ground burst on top of a shelter, it'd probably kill everybody in it, unless it's like, a government one that's super, super deep down. Well, yeah, because napalm, Joshua, essentially just incinerates you. VX lingers around for ages as well, which is why it's horrifying. You know, it can essentially just sit in a puddle. You can step in it, and then you're dead. Nerve agents are horrifying. It's just that, you know, they got deadlier and deadlier as time went on, so you needed less and less of a nerve agent to, you know, cause a death from it. No, mustard on a hot dog is completely different from mustard gas. Because last time I checked, if you eat mustard, you don't, all of your, like, inside of your mouth doesn't start blistering up and bleeding. Because yeah, what mustard gas does, blister agents like mustard and lewisite, essentially they cause severe skin irritation and skin burns. So, and they can soak into your clothing. So quite often, apparently this was in the Iran-Iraq war, Iranian soldiers would often, like, not get hit by that much mustard gas, and they thought they were all right. But then what would end up happening was their clothes got soaked through with, you know, like essentially the mustard gas or lewisite, whatever Iraq was using. And then later on, you know, all their skin would start coming off because the clothing had, you know, it was like keeping it like a wet flannel against your skin, but it's an irritant on there. Yeah. As they say in Napalm Sticks to Kids, Joshua, watch the little kids jump and shout, drop some napalm without a doubt, watch them try and put it out, napalm sticks to kids. I'm sure the Challenger 2 would be CBRN protectors. I'm pretty sure like every modern tank has CBRN protection, doesn't it? It might be Benny, I don't actually know, but I know that Belgium and the Netherlands both bought a lot of stuff from Britain around that sort of time period. Yeah. They released, didn't they, Russia, a lot of the Tsar footage recently, which is really good to see. The problem with the Tsar footage, though, is it's such a high-yield bomb that essentially it just looks like a white light on a lot of the footage, you know, because of just the insane yield of it. You know, 50 megatons, about 50 to 57 megaton, wasn't it, Tsar? And it could have been 100 megatons if the, you know, entire case was completely filled. All right, Tactical. But yeah, nuke tests are kind of horrifying. I don't think it was really until I was watching a lot of, like, the nuke test footage that I really realized just how horrible nukes are. Right, like, you know, it's something that you know is bad, don't you, a nuke, but you don't really realize, I think, until you're watching the sheer mathematical kind of test footage of them, that you're like, oh, everything would die if the, you know, there was actually an exchange of these. Like, I know we kind of knew that anyway, but it's like one of those things that I think once you see some of the test footage, it reveals just how horrifying it really is. I'll go on for another few minutes and then I'll go off. Just because Tactical's just come on, Welsh lad. Dante. All right. I've had a good stream today, thanks, Welsh lad, because I got 70 quid worth of donations, roughly. $70, £70 worth of donations. So that was very nice of the people who donated. Yeah, well, have you seen Alex saying the film the guy did for the BBC before Fred's, which is the one, it's called like Surviving Armageddon or something, isn't it? And there's a bit in that where they talk about the people making a lean-to shelter under their stairs, and it says like Janet and whatever his name should survive, you know, for at least 17 seconds, and then you just see the blast wave hit, and yeah, at that point they just be torn to shreds. Also, don't forget when a blast, the shockwave of a nuke, it's throwing bricks and glass at you so fast it literally eviscerates anything in its path. I don't really know much about weather weapons. I'm sure man can manipulate the weather to a degree, but I don't know at what point it stops and goes into like conspiracy tinfoil hat mode. I actually kind of find salted cobalt bombs, though, even scarier than like conventional nukes. It's just the idea that you could literally spray out so much of a really scary, you know, radionuclide everywhere that you could literally wipe out all, you know, life on Earth with a big enough, theoretically having a big enough, essentially the ultimate dirty bomb. Cheers, Dan. Yeah, but like I said, it's quite nice for me because obviously at the moment I'm trying to save up for the bunker and everything. One went recently, but it went way higher than I was expecting. Did anybody see that? It went for £50,500, the REC post that went up for sale recently. It's normally the wind, Alex saying, because fallout is generally like, although you will always get a bit of fallout from a nuclear weapon, the worst fallout is generally when you have a ground burst or like a sea burst, because then essentially a lot more stuff is getting pulled in and contaminated and then sprayed back out. in theory, you could make a bunker, but you can, buy old actual kind of like military surplus bunkers, and then you get to land with them. I'm definitely going to get one. It's just how long it takes me to save up for it, Kirsty. But yeah, I want to get an ROC post or something similar. But the last ROC post that went up for sale went for £50,500. Hydrogen bombs are thermonuclear weapons. Basically, atomic weapons are what you'd normally call a nuclear bomb. Thermonuclear weapons are the hydrogen bomb. I mean, I don't know at what point you have boosted fission bombs where it would actually then become... But yeah, fission and fusion are the two types of bombs. Fission is like the smaller yield atomic bomb. Fusion is the higher yield hydrogen bomb type thing. I think the point, of a neutron bomb is basically it kills absolutely everything through a huge, burst of X-rays and neutrons and gamma rays. I mean, if in theory, if neutrons hit certain things, they will make it contaminated. But yeah, the point of neutron bombs was essentially the idea that, you could wipe out cities but leave most of the structures intact. But the reason neutron bombs were, kind of scaled down in production is both the superpowers kind of realized that if you horribly irradiate people and they know for certain they're going to die in a couple of days through radiation poisoning or whatever, they're probably going to go absolutely berserk and start raping and pillaging everything. Oh, cool. I'll look that up. So Popeye the Weatherman was that Snug? Yeah, interesting though, Valentin Beholder, when the Russian Tsar bomb went off, I think the shockwave went around the Earth 3 times. I've played the game of Metro 2033, I've never read the book. I've read Roadside Picnic, which is the book Stalker's based on. I could do Pedro. I'd definitely use one of my not as good night vision units to do it. I'd probably end up using my Gen 1 Plus unit to do that. What I can show you is one of my strongest beta sources. If I hold that up to my old webcam, that causes lots of scintillations. You see the white flashes on it. Thank you very much again, first name, last name. He said, my dad was an EOD in the 80s. One job he did was blowing the Rising Sun complex at Dugway Proving Grounds. It was a network of Japanese-style tunnels way before the end of World War II when they tested nerve gas bombs on animals. Crazy. Yeah, I've seen... there's a very interesting video on YouTube, which is like when reporting used to be quite good, about sort of America's nerve agent stockpiles, and they show some of it on that. Where they also had the things where they had like goats with gas masks on, and they were testing which masks and filter combinations work best at stopping the stuff. Yeah, I've seen some of the ones they did as well, where they like blow up nerve agents, like, upwind or essentially downwind of so you have the structures downwind, and they were seeing like how long it would take to kill animals in like a trench compared to animals in the open, compared to animals in bunkers, and stuff like that. Well, I definitely will do, Kirsty. The idea is buy it, spend a while restoring it, and then it's a livable space. You can use any of the proper 40mm NATO filters on the Wopster, so literally the Scott ABEC filters you can get quite easily on Amazon in the UK and I think the US. I'd have to look that up, Alex Saint. I don't know. I know with some of them they could vary the yield, couldn't they, on some of the warheads? Because I think that was the case in some of the bombers, like they could have different yield things in them. But I'd assume it was probably something in the low megaton range. Like the idea is it's designed that, to completely wipe out the city block it's aimed at, or like, a military base, things like that. You'd need planning permission to do that, CT Ranger, and I want to move out, that's the point. So the idea is that, although you can build them if you have planning permission on land you own, generally what you want to try and do is just find the old Cold War ones the government sold off, where you can buy the land and get a little bunker on them. Well, some of them dual link were designed for several people to live in them for months after nuclear attack. So yeah, it depends how many people you add in them, but if you do them up, you can make them pretty comfortable, because a lot of them are essentially just concrete rooms underground. You go down 15 feet of stairs or a ladder into, essentially an underground concrete complex. So as long as you have electricity in there and you keep it warm and dry, they're actually pretty comfortable. The only reason a lot of people think they'd be uncomfortable is, because they're often cold, damp, and wet if they've just been abandoned for years. They used to have the bunker buster as far back as World War II, Alex Saint, or are you thinking of something a bit more modern than that? Yeah, I certainly know that natural disasters can be horrifying, because obviously there was that tsunami, wasn't there, in Indonesia that killed so many people. I think it's probably inevitable there'll be another world war. If it'll happen in my lifetime, I hope not, but it seems a bit hostile, doesn't it? Nuking other planets. What have they ever done to us? But I know America loves nuking everything, because they did do all the nuclear space tests as well. Let's send nukes into space and detonate them to see what happens. I have seen some videos on stuff like that, CT Ranger. Like, some of the silos in America are awesome, aren't they? Because Britain never really did nuclear silos, just because of the fact that we're quite a small island. Yeah, Flo, I could definitely see a very Mad Max or, like you're saying, Fallout-style resource war thing happening, where it's like lots of wars over like less and less, natural resources that are running out. So it's, like essentially embargoes and stuff like that going on until it escalates. But yeah, like the Minutemen sort of bunkers, you mean like the Minutemen silos and sort of, what's that one? Saturn or Satan's the Soviet one, wasn't it? What's the other? There's Minutemen. What's the other US one they used? Like, they also used it in the space program, like the actual rocket bit of it. Can't think of the name of it now. But yeah, Minutemen was certainly one of the things. But yeah. But again, I think it does depend, doesn't it, how much money gets put into, doing them up. Because really, there's lots of people you see with really nice furnished basements, and it's really, that's all it is if you think about it, just a bit further underground, a bit more remote. But yeah, I don't know which warhead that you are on about, LX Saint, but they have weapons for everything, don't they? Man is very imaginative when we're thinking of ways of killing each other. It's a shame all that effort can't be put into medicines and things like that. But in terms of like actual man coming up with ways of killing each other. Oh, well, let's weaponize horrible diseases. Let's make our own Frankenstein diseases. But yeah, it's kind of horrible to think, isn't it? Like, man has design their own biological weapons that could wipe out all life on Earth, but we haven't made vaccines for some of the most horrible things, or we haven't found a cure for cancer. Exactly, Flazzy. It's like, I find these sort of weapons fascinating, but they're horrifying at the same time. And yeah, it's the fact that we put more research into killing each other and helping each other is also a very, very sort of depressing thing. I know you don't cross the beams, Joshua, but I can't remember. I know in Ghostbusters, there is actually an old nuclear device they use as a prop in Ghostbusters. I'll have to watch it again and point out which prop it is, but one of the props in Ghostbusters is one of the very old, like, radiation detecting bits of equipment that they've just, I think, repainted it. I can't remember if it's a ghost trap or one of those, but there's definitely one that's like an old CDV like detector, or like, one of the US Army things from that period, like one of the old Army radiacs. Well, that's actually a good point, Pedro. Do you know how strong source would have to be for that? I'll definitely have to do it, Radium, Quetzal. I've got something that's come today that you'd find interesting. It's very similar to your one, but I can't power it because my 30 kilovolt power supply doesn't put enough energy through it. But I bought one of those old Soviet 110K or whatever they're called, X-ray tubes. It's a pretty fascinating thing, but I can't power it with my current power supply. I've got the same type you've got, but the 30 kV one, not the 60 kV one. So at some point, I'll definitely have to get one of those 60 kV power supplies. But yeah. I've also got coming, you might find interesting, one of those dental X-ray cameras the Chinese sell, which, you know, they're questionable how safe they are. Apparently, they expose the operator to quite a lot of X-rays, but, you know, it'll be interesting to actually measure the doses that come off of them. I've tried putting contacts on different bits of it. I'm assuming I'm going to have to heat the filament with one circuit and heat the anode and, well, you know, power the anode and cathode with another circuit, aren't I? Are there any tutorial videos, do you know, on powering old valves like that, radium, for like showing the actual proper circuit setup? I think it's probably just going to be my 30 kV supply can't put enough energy through it. Well, as I said, I went to Hungary before. I really liked it. It was a nice country. But yeah, anyway, I will go off the stream in a minute because I've been on 1 hour and 20 minutes now. But yeah, it's essentially running the power through the anode, cathode, and the filament, isn't it? But obviously, because there's no manual with mine, because it's an old surplus tube, I don't actually know which bit connects to which. But I'll definitely play about with it a bit more. I'll probably just get a bigger power supply at some point. Weirdly, Elias, isn't there an old... Yeah, in Day of the Triffids, they talk about... In John Wyndham's Day of the Triffids, they talk about satellites with weapons attached to them that might destroy the Earth. Yeah, it's your fault, Flazzy. But funnily enough, the stream, I think, went quite good recently, with all the comments coming on weren't spam questions as much as interesting questions. Yeah, Pedro, I have a continuous timer dial. Yeah, well, my one, I can't see any glow with it off from my naked eye. I can only see, you know, the very, very faint glow you get from just the glow-in-the-dark effect from the actual old paint they put on them. But yeah, I'll definitely try my Gen 2 Plus on them. To be honest, my most intense radium source, though, Pedro, is actually a DP63 scale. So I'll try looking at a DP63 scale with night vision. But anyway, I will go off now. But yeah, there'll be a video on tomorrow evening, so don't forget. Yeah, nukes are still being made, Roblox. There's actually a bit of an arms race going on again with nukes. In the 90s and early 2000s, we were scaling down the amount of nukes, but suddenly it's gone back up again. Alex Saint, you can buy a few spearheads on Southern Swords. Right, anyway, bye everybody. I'll be going off. But yeah, I'll play about with it, Pedro. I'd love to do a video on it if I can actually get it to film properly, but filming through night vision is always a pain in the ass. But yeah, my Gen 2 Plus might work quite well for that. So no, I've got nothing illegal like that, Anthony. Unless you mean deactivated bombs. I've got some deactivated grenades, but anyway, bye everybody. Have a good evening, and thank you very much to all the people that donated. I do really appreciate that. Right, bye.